So at Trump's speech to Congress the other day, at one point he said, I saved freedom of speech. I saved freedom of speech. Now that was hyper ironic because they kicked out Al Green for protesting him for like a minute. So how's that for freedom of speech? But more importantly, the same day Trump had the nerve to say he saved freedom of speech, look what else he said. Trump threatens to cut all federal funding to universities that allow illegal protests. So here's his exact quote on Truth Social. All federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending on your crime, arrested. No masks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The same day he says he saved free speech, he literally announces the worst crackdown on free speech in modern American history. A war on the Constitution, a war on the First Amendment. That's what he announced. So, what's at the heart of all of this, just so everybody understands? It's Israel. It's the issue of Israel. Trump said on the campaign trail he would deport pro-Palestine protesters. This is him reiterating, I will deport pro-Palestine protesters and I'll cut off funding to any universities that allow pro-Palestine protests. But this time he even took it a step further because he was saying, and if you're an American citizen, you'll be either expelled from school if you protest or arrested. Now, by the way, when he says illegal protests, what exactly does that mean? It starts out with anti-Israeli genocide protests, pro-Gaza, pro-Palestine protests. Those are the ones that are first on the chopping block, right? But how do we know this doesn't eventually get to the point where he says, any protest of me, any protest of my administration? Oh, do we just cut Medicaid? If you protest that, that's illegal. We're going to lock you up. We're going to expel you. Oh, are you protesting our cuts to Social Security? We're going to lock you up or expel you. You know, oh, are you protesting the fact that we're trying to steal Greenland and own Gaza and steal Panama? Well, we're going to lock you up and we're going to expel you. This is where this ends, y'all. This is where this ends. So for him, it's like, oh, I totally believe in free speech as long as it's not illegal speech. But that's the thing. Then you don't actually believe in free speech because any speech that criticizes you or your sacred cows, you throw the fucking book at them. So they say here, Trump's announcement followed his Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Education, and the U.S. General Services Administration announcing a potential stop to $51.4 million in contracts between Columbia University and the federal government. So just so everybody understands, Columbia University, that was one of the places where there were pro-Palestine protests. At the beginning of the Israeli genocide, when it was clear, hey, this is a genocide, there were pro-Palestine protests. They want to make that illegal. They want to deport people for it. They want to expel people for it. They want to arrest people for it. So right now, technically in the United States of America, you still have the right to protest the United States of America. I don't know how long that'll last, but you don't have the right to protest a foreign country, Israel, as they bomb kids on a regular basis, as they starve an entire population of Palestinians. So this is, guys, it's not theoretical. This is what I'm trying to get through to you. He is an authoritarian. He is a fascist. There's not a question. We're in it right now. Oh, maybe some point in the future. No, it's happening. It's happening right now. RFK comes out. Secretary Kennedy, because he's now the head of Health and Human Services, he says this: anti-Semitism, like racism, is a spiritual and moral malady that sickens societies and kills people with lethalities comparable to history's most deadly plagues. You see what he's doing here? Since he's the Secretary of Health and Human Services, he's like, oh yeah, I'm focused on health stuff. This is a plague. Yeah, that's right. This is a plague. Let me continue. In recent years, the censorship and false narratives of woke cancel culture have transformed our great universities into greenhouses for this deadly and virulent pestilence. Making America healthy means building communities of trust and mutual respect based on speech, freedom, and open debate. So, if you don't understand what he's saying, his argument is all these pro-Palestine protests on college campuses, that's actually bigotry. That's actually anti-Semitism, and this is a plague, and it's like it's deadly and virulent, right? And he somehow has the nerve to say he's pro-free speech, and the same thing where he's shitting on free speech. But why is this guy bringing up anti-Semitism? What the fuck does that have to do with health and human services? Your whole realm is like germs and disease and toxins and shit like that. And you're out here talking about anti-Semitism. This is the same day that Trump said this shit about I'm going to stop federal funding of any and all colleges that, allow the pro-Palestine protests, allow the illegal protests. I'll expel you. I'll, deport you. I'll arrest you. This is the same day. RFK, we have to call it like it is. I'm sure there's nobody in human history who has as much dirt as RFK. And this motherfucker, remember that famous thing he said on that podcast where he was like, yeah, when I was a kid, we hung around Bill Cosby, we hung around Harvey Weinstein, I was on Epstein's jet multiple times. Just fucking telling on himself. Just being like, yeah, all the worst fucking people throughout history, all the sex pests, yeah, I was buddies with them, bro. I was buddies with them. Messed up the camera, but you get the point. So I have no doubt that Robert F. Kennedy is one of those people that they have tremendous dirt on him. I really think Mossad has a file this fucking thick on this guy. So now, even though he's in Health and Human Services, he's like, oh yeah, this anti-Semitism is out of control and it's a plague and we got to crack down on it. And Trump is right. He should expel people and he should deport people and he should arrest people who do the illegal protests of criticizing Israel. I'm against criticizing Israel. There's always this one issue, at the very least this one issue. All the so-called free speech warriors immediately abandon every single fucking principle they claim to have. Pretty disturbing, isn't it? Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.